Good afternoon. Thank you for joining the Islanders, Charito Benepayo. Today is October 5th, and we are celebrating the annual celebration of Filipino History Month here at Asian Museum. We are lucky to have lots of Filipino camaraderie, and this afternoon we have a special guest for you as a treat. Miko Gusi, a well-known artist, actor, and a model back in the Philippines. So let us talk to him and find out what he up to, what he has been, and what is he doing right now. Welcome, Miko, to Islanders TV. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. How are you?
I'm very good, and of course, I'd like to say good afternoon to you, Auntie Charito. It's my greatest pleasure to be here today.
Great, and we will share our viewer a lot of information about this young gentleman who has made waves, and he's very well known globally and locally. So let's ask him about his career, and can you please tell the viewers something about yourself? Anything, the past, the present,
Course, yeah.
and we'll talk about the future.
Of course. We're very basically, I'm the son of Ambassador Barry Gusi, and he's the chairman of the Gusi Peace Prize International Foundation. Basically, this is a foundation that gives peace awards every year to people from different nations. And growing up, I have witnessed my father and my mother being involved in the cause of peace and in the cause of finding ways to promote prosperity and harmony among nations and live in diversity. And I realized that music is one of the greatest and most effective avenues, as well as arts is one of the greatest avenues in order for me to deliver a way to bring people together despite the barriers in language or despite the barriers in geographical circumstances. That is why I realized that my calling, in collaboration with my father, my calling on the other hand will be to be an artist and to use that voice to further the cause of my parents and to further the cause of the people supporting the Gusi Peace Prize Foundation. Now, through the Gusi Peace Prize and through my travels around the world in Asia and in many countries, the biggest privilege that I was able to have is performing for already 10 presidents and royalties and senators and congressmen, but at the same time it was also equally thrilling to be able to perform for people of different nationalities regardless of social standing. The fact that they give me a feedback that I was able to touch them even with a simple song or even with a simple appearance on stage gives me a great sense of fulfillment and made me realize that I have been right all along to follow the calling.
Wonderful, great, and what a great influence your parents have on you. And talking of music, music speaks all kinds of language, right?
That is right, I agree. As a matter of fact, if I would have the chance to choose a superpower, that would be to play many instruments as I can rather than speak all languages. Because if you're able to produce a wide array of music, people will be able to understand different expressions. They'll be able to understand different messages that words, not even some words in the dictionary can describe.
Absolutely correct. And with Miko right here, he shared with us few things that had happened and all the kinds of influences and what he has done partially. I'm sure that's only partially, and I'm sure we still be able to dig in more about his achievement. Tell us further about your findings. Is this your first time to come to America?
It is my first time here in the mainland U.S. and of course I'm so elated to be back here in San Francisco where I landed in the first place. I've been here for a couple of weeks, and San Francisco was a very good introduction of the United States as a whole because this place is very romantic, it's very classy, and it was a good contrast to the diversity of the different cities that I've been in. I went to LA, which is also part of California, and it's where Hollywood is, so I felt very overwhelmed being there. I went to Chicago, which is very great architecture and friendly people. I went to Washington, and my father and I met four congressmen, two of which were former Goosey Peace Prize laureates. And then we went as well to New York, which is the home of Broadway, and it's also one of the business capitals of the world. So meeting all of these Filipinos and Americans and a diverse group of people through my cross-country trips made me realize that U.S. is such a great place to be in, and I hope that I'll be back here again soon.
Wonderful, and thank you for sharing part of the places that you have been in the United States and your impression of San Francisco in comparison to other places that you have been. Give me a little distinct comparison on that.
Well, I'm a very old-fashioned guy. So why I'm saying San Francisco is very romantic is because wherever you drive, you will see a lot of Victorian houses. And personally, my dream home is also to have a similar kind of home as the ones here in San Francisco where the houses are attached to each other so that you will have an intact neighborhood. You will never feel isolated, and there's always a way to connect with each other. And at the same time, I like the weather here. It's very cool and solemn. And as we all know, there is a big Filipino community here in San Francisco. That is one of the reasons why I like San Francisco very much. And you never feel like you're too far from home when when you're surrounded by people who come from where home is. Yeah.
Exactly, and right now, we are surrounded by Filipinos because we are celebrating the Philippine History Month, and then you would be surprised that a lot of Filipinos, and there is a program going on right now. Tell us, what's your plan for the future?
Well, I'm a very superstitious person, and I really like sharing my plans, but when the time is ripe. However, Tita, since you're very special to me, I'd like to tell you that I will definitely let you know on Facebook. And I'd like to share to you some of the things that I have done here in in the U.S. Sorry, related to Filipino pride. When I was in New York, I had a dinner with Jet Tolentino. And this gentleman is a three-time Tony Award winning producer. He is the third one after Lea Salonga and Mr. Robert, the one who made the theme songs of Disney's Frozen.
Yeah.
Now he's the third one, and he has 3 Tony Awards, which is the most for a Filipino. Now he took us. We went with him to watch Here Lies Love, which is also the first Broadway musical that has a Filipino plot. It's about the love triangle of Imelda Marcos, Ninoy Aquino, and Ferdinand Marcos. It was like a story before all the upheaval happened.
Yes, awesome.
Yes, and when I did experience Here Lies Love and having met Mr. Tolentino, I was once again reaffirmed how proud I am to be a Filipino. Not only are there survivors around the world, but they can also, much more than that, make a legacy or make a mark wherever you place them. And that is why I admire the Filipino character, very adaptable and also very competent.
Very good. And we are so proud of Miko because he is so proud of Filipinos. And do you still speak Tagalog?
Opo, marunong po ako mag-Tagalog.
Okay.
Although for the benefit of the viewers some of them may be English speakers, I'm gonna go with Taglish or English.
Yes.
Po.
We have a Taglish portion, and the Islanders is a an hour talk show geared to, but not limited to, Filipino American audience.
Right.
And so we have a lot of topics. We cover everything: immigration, employment, economics, locally and globally, not only here in America but all over. That's why we follow up a lot of current events not only in the Philippines, not only here, but globally. So I am glad that you are within the parameter of everything and you are just so versatile. I really love what you are doing right now. And with all your experiences and the plans for the future, I understand a lot more is in store for you. And your mom and dad had influenced you so much. Now, aside from the plans in the future, other things that you would like to accomplish more?
Of course, definitely, I am always a work in progress. That's what my philosophy is. And I'm very fortunate to be able to expose and be in the company or be surrounded amongst people who have more experienced minds and who have years ahead of me. Now, when what I plan to do in the future is to continue helping my Filipino countrymen by helping out with my dad in going through to the outskirts of the Philippine country, especially in the provinces or in the typhoon-stricken areas. And I'd like to continue the mission of my father and my mother, where they do medical missions and relief operations and gift giving, and they also provide minor operations and give free wheelchairs, medical assistance, and of course, I would not deny that I love singing. So I'd love to sing for all the Filipinos wherever I go, regardless of the crowd, as long as I can see that there are people in the audience that are smiling, appreciating the little labor of love that I can give. I think that is one of the most fulfilling things that an individual can ever experience.
Wonderful. Look at that. With a great noble aim and noble ambition to serve not only the Filipino but all those in needs, all those people that have been stricken by the calamities, especially the latest calamity that had stricken the Philippines in Tacloban, Haiyan, and everything. And I tap in the back, and Miko is just simply wonderful for doing that and continuing on that effort. I wish for you to accomplish a lot, and may God bless you and guide you on your journey. This is not yet the last time we're gonna talk. We're gonna talk more on the rest of other things that you would like to do aside from the awesome, fabulous, and inspiring story that Miko has shared with us. Thank you, and when the Islanders returns.
Thank you very much,
Thank you,
Tita.
thank you.
You
Ang bilis mo naman, Noy!
Mabilis? Ay, wala yan sa Zoom.com. Zoom.com is super fast.
If you want money transfers received super fast, then you want Zoom.com. Sa Zoom.com, minuto lang nandun na. And money can be picked up at thousands of locations, including all Cebuana Luwilier shops, open evenings and weekends.
Minuto lang ang money transfer sa Zoom.com.
Zoom.com, we love it!
Zoom.com. Zoom it online. Minuto lang.
Coming back to you, Charito Benapayo, and at this segment, we have another special guest in the person of former Ambassador Barry Gussie. He was the ambassador of Micronesia. Let's talk to him and find out what's he up to, what he has done, and what he's going to do. Welcome, Ambassador Gussie.
Thank you,
welcome
Madam Benipayo. Thank you for welcoming me here in San Francisco. And I would like to congratulate the Filipino people in this celebration today.
And thank you for joining us this afternoon, and what an opportunity. And it is indeed a great honor to have talked to your son, who is an accomplished musician, artist, and an actor and a model. And with your influence, I understand he is a very good product of Mr. and Mrs. Gussie. Now, Ambassador, could you share us a little thing about yourself, the past, and
Well,
then the present that you are doing?
Well, in the past, I am a world traveler and I try to promote the culture of the Filipino people as and a special envoy of Micronesia. I am a businessman, and to the present, I am the current chairman of the Gusi Peace Prize, known as the Asian equivalent of the Nobel Peace Prize. The Gusi Peace Prize recognizes people all over the world in their chosen endeavors such as scientific research, chemistry, physiology or medicine, literature, performing art, statesmanship, archaeology, architecture, academe, religious leader, as well as in the field of peace and economics. So the Gusi Peace Prize is an awards-giving body which is based in Manila, Philippines, and founded by my father, and I am the current chairman of that. And as a matter of fact, in November 26 this year in Manila, Philippines, at the Philippine International Convention Center, it will gonna be attended by people from all over the world, and we have 18 laureates for 2014, and 4 of them are head of states, and some are scientific researcher, and of course people that are involved in peace, economics, and literature.
Wow, what an awesome undertakings, and currently with everything that is in store for you or that you have had accomplished, it's beyond comparison, I understand. And with all your achievement, tell us a little bit about your reigning in Micronesia as an ambassador. Share the viewers about the term in Micronesia.
Yes, I was chosen by the government of Micronesia as their special envoy, and we are promoting the ecotourism of Micronesia and to promote their nation in Japan and Australia as well in the part of Asia, and I handle that as given to me by the government. And with that, I was able to continue at the same time the Gusi Peace Prize charity, particularly in the Philippines, because there are a lot of Filipino people that are still suffering in the Philippines. Probably political suffering, the suffering towards the calamity, the deprivation of other people, victim of injustice. And I always am a person who is always a voice of those people. Because if I am for what I am now, because I had been just trying my best to put myself up as a voice of peace, as a leader of the world peace, as compared probably with Mohandas Gandhi and Martin Luther King or Anwar Sadat. Well, they were the past, and I am today, and today will be different from the past, and today will be different for tomorrow. So if I am for what I am now, it's just because this is my life, this is how I advocate peace, this is how I share my lives to the world community of peace, in particularly to my countrymen. Our countrymen who are up to now is still, a lot of them are suffering, especially in poverty. And I am with them, and I will continue whatever I could share for my countrymen in my very own capacity.
Wonderful. And with that, it seems that you have accomplished so much that, as I said, it is incredible. And it is really kind of impossible for other people to do. With your kind of capacity, with your experience, background, and everything, I think the Philippines is in good hands. And then, with all the undertakings, you, your family, your son, Miko, it's simply just undescribable to fathom what is being done right now. And a little bit of something, a little touch of current events. I don't want to talk more about whatever corruption in the Philippines or other things, but simply, how can Filipinos in America help the Philippines, aside from raising funds, aside from, sending money? Is there any other things that Filipinos in America can help our countrymen back home?
I think majority of the Filipinos here are helping their family in the Philippines. But in my special call, I would like to call the Filipino people to be united by way of honesty and integrity. having the clean heart towards others. I do not say all of the politicians, but some of them are really very corrupt, and we should stop that in order that we could live in harmony and equality of life. I know that the Filipinos, not only here in the United States, are doing their best to help our countrymen, but we should have a good leader to justify the objective of running the country. Leader who have a great compassion to the Filipino people. Because with compassion to the Filipino people, we could make a difference. We can run the country with greatness. As we said, let us make the Filipino great, let us make the Philippines great. And that is not impossible. When Mrs. Aquino started the democratic form of government in the Philippines, it justified, and then it is the beginning of the unity of the Filipino people. But then right now, there are certain few people who are dishonest and corrupt, and I hope that we should stop this by way of uniting the people globally, the Filipino people. We should depend more on the Filipino people than anything else, because no one could love the Philippines and the Filipino but Filipino itself. I would like to thank the Filipino people who have supported the Goosey Peace Prize here, who have acknowledged the Goosey Peace Prize, and I promise to them that I will do my best, to the best of my capacity, to make the Goosey Peace Prize respectable, dignified, and renowned the world over as a symbol of Filipino entity, as a symbol of Filipino dignity, and as a symbol of peace that started from the Far East. So the American Filipino people here, whom I meet in New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, and San Francisco, Las Vegas, Nevada, San Diego, I would like to thank you guys for being cordial with me and my son while we are here in United States of America. And I promise, if I could not touch the lives of you guys here, I will touch the lives of the Filipino people in our country, because this is my life where I am now, and I will continue to be a leader of peace and will continue to be a voice of the people of our country, especially those that are needy people.
Wonderful, fantastic. And with all what you have been doing, the Goosey Peace Prize is simply an incredible measure that would influence many Filipinos locally and globally. And I hope that sometime in the future we can share your magazine. I know Ambassador Goosey, they have a monthly magazine.
Well, we had been featured with a lot of magazines all over the world and newspapers. And indeed, you know, they never stop in interviewing us because of my good deed for the country. But most of all, Madam Binipayo, my heart is very happy and it has a lot of wonder. I would like to thank the Filipino people here. I really, really thank them. They are very near in my heart, and I will assure the Filipino people here and in the Philippines and in other parts of the world that I will never disappoint them, to the best of my capacity, to continue the Goosey Peace Prize, to continue the charitable work of the Goosey Peace Prize, and to be a voice of the Filipino people who are really deprived, abused, and humiliated. And if I could uplift the image of the Filipino people globally, I would definitely do that, and I will never stop. And this is because of my great love to the Filipino people.
Great. And then, you know, we are going to be on the same boat. We are going to help change, not if we cannot exactly change the image, we are going to at least replenish and make a good change about the Filipinos, because actually Filipinos are great. We have accomplished a lot. We have accomplished a lot in terms of everything, arts, music, economy, globally and locally. With that in mind, and with Ambassador Gusi and the Gusi Peace Prize, that is an instrument where we will be able to improve about economy in the Philippines, everything that compasses Philippines locally and globally, and we can help even the President Pinoy right now, who's having a little bit of hard time. I know he is very, very much ambitious. And with that ambition, we hope that ang matuwid na daan ay matutuhan ng kapwa Pilipino natin. So, with that in mind, we will continue our goal for the prosperity of the Filipinos all over the world, and everything that we would like to accomplish. And with that note, we would like to thank Ambassador Gusi for sharing us partly only because I know he got a lot of accomplishment. And thank you, Ambassador Gusi, for talking to the islanders. More power and good luck.
Thank you so much.
To our viewers.
With the Filipino people here in the United States of America, with our trouble here in the United States of America, for those who were able to assist us in Washington, D.C., in New York, San Francisco, Los Angeles, Chicago, San Diego, Houston, Texas. Thank you so much. Again, your humble servant, Barry Gusi, will definitely be a person of my own that I would guarantee to the Filipino people that I will always have a great heart, a clean heart, a heart of the highest degree of human compassion, that I will stand and deliver to continue my ideals to share with my countrymen. We could touch our country and our countrymen in a simple heart, and that heart is integrity, honesty, and compassion. Let us join together for the glory of God. From that, we could continue the work of peace. And thank you so much for you, Madam Binipayo. And thanks a lot to all the Filipino people here in America and all over the world that I have visited recently. For those that are coming to the Philippines in November 25 and 26 to be with the Gusi Peace Prize, I would guarantee each and every one that we will extend the best protocol, and I will try my best to make each and everyone happy in Manila, Philippines. Thank you, and God bless you all. God bless the Philippines. God bless the Filipino people in United States of America. And I also would like to congratulate my foreign friends who are always with us in this endeavor. Thank you so much, and God bless us all.
Thank you, Ambassador Gusi, and more power.
Good morning. I'm very happy to be here. And as I arrived, I was listening to some of the religions. I heard Balangay, and the word Balangay, as you may well know, is the boat that represented the culture before the Spanish period that we had. And it occupies a very special place in me because I've been into the place. My wife who's with me here is actually from Butuan City. It's the place where they have actually uncovered the first 3 balangays, and that excavation is still ongoing, and it appears that there are more. But and so I was very touched with that. Good morning, Mr. Jason, Executive Director of the Asian Art Museum, Mr. Mel Orpilla, President of the Philippine American National Historical Society, former ambassador, and the Filipino community leaders and cultural leaders. Good morning. Colleagues and friends, I'm happy to join you today to mark the official opening of Philippine American History Month. I would like to thank our friends, Mr. Su, for hosting this event, and Melopedia for being a driver. As there is no better place to launch this occasion than the Asian Art Museum, I also want to take time to acknowledge the tireless efforts of Mr. Mel Orpilla and the men and women of the Philippine American National Historical Society, not only to have this month officially recognized as Filipino-American History Month, but for working to document, archive, and publish as much of the history of our community as they possibly can. History has a special significance to me. In my service as a foreign service officer for the last 20 years or so, I found out the value of historical documents and the value of going back and looking at the past. As a lawyer as well, I recognize that the value of anchoring an argument on precedents, of being able to move a case forward based on previously presented and accepted views of law or principle. As you can imagine, I have a very deep respect for those who painstakingly document and protect the stories of our past, trusting that the information they are seeking will be relevant for future generations. Our builders, our storytellers, our recorders, these are the people we are celebrating this year. And I think it is appropriate that we refer to them as tulay. Tulay is a Tagalog word for bridge, and it is a symbolism. As the bridge that not only leads us to the past, but guide us toward our future path. It takes both skill and wisdom to understand which parts of the present to archive, in which context they should be documented and framed, and who to pass these memories on to. On behalf of our community and the Philippine Consulate General here in San Francisco, both the present and future generations of Filipino Americans, I personally would like, first of all, to express my deepest appreciation of the important work that you have done and are still doing. To serve as the bridge or tulay between generations, to be the bridge that translates wisdom and knowledge from one generation to the next, or values and intentions from one culture to another. It's not easy. It requires you to be all things to all men, to work backward to understand the motivations of one side, while reaching forward to touch the aspirations of one another. Many times, the work you do is unseen, unnoticed, and unappreciated, until one day, someone in need of the past comes searching. For my part, I am grateful for those of your ilk. Because of those like you, my own search for relevant information or validation of grandchildren are experiencing the world and sharing that experience. And as we move forward, we must accept that they will find new ways to store our important information and pass it on. After all, the most important thing about history is that it must be passed on. Colleagues, my thanks and appreciation to those who have worked to preserve our history and to those who are training to take their place. Mabuhay po kayong lahat, mabuhay po tayong lahat, mabuhay ang Filipino-Americans sa San Francisco. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mel Orpilia. I'm the National President of the Filipino-American National Historical Society, otherwise known as FAHMs. And I want to welcome all the FAHMs members here today. If they can please just stand up or wave their hands. We have 30 chapters, coast to coast. And our mission is to discover, preserve, educate, archive, and share the history of Filipinos in America. And that's why we celebrate October as Filipino-American History Month. That's why we're here today, because October was chosen as the month because the first recorded landing of a Filipino in the continental United States happened on October 18, 1587. 1587, over 400 years ago. and was when a group of Lusones Indios from the ship the Nuestra Senora de Esperanza landed in the central coast of California, captained by Pedro de Unamuno, and they were sent on shore to do a recon mission to see if there was anyone living there, and of course there were already the Chumash tribe living there. So from that moment on till today, we have had continuous Filipino-American history, and like the Consul General said, it's a living organism. These children today that was in the program will probably be creating history for us as well. Some of the important points of Filipino-American history were in the 1800s when the first settlements of Filipinos established the first Filipino settlements in the United States in the bayous of Louisiana, in St. Malo to be exact. And they started the first shrimping industry. They called themselves Paisanos or Filipino Cajun. And they fought in the Civil War as well as with Jean Lafitte in the Battle of New Orleans. And then in 1763, one of the 46 founders of the city of Los Angeles, Antonio Miranda Rodriguez, was there, and he's now buried in the Santa Barbara Mission Graveyard. Of course, 49 years ago, Larry Itliong, Phil Veracruz, started the Great Delano Grape Strike and boycott, which led to the United Farm Workers Union. And next year we'll be celebrating the 50-year anniversary of that, as well as the 50-year anniversary of the very important Immigration Nationality Act, which opened Filipino immigration to the United States and raised the quota to 20,000 per year. When my father came to America in 1926, he was a 20-year-old from Bawang La Union with a 6th grade education. His older brother, Clemente, was recruited by the Hawaiian Sugarcane Planters Association to work in the plantations in Hawaii. He earned enough money that year to send back to 2 of his brothers, my father and my uncle Modesto, who met him here in San Francisco in 1926. Like most Filipinos at that time, the Manos, as we call them, came here finding a better life, to find work, because the Philippines was devastated economically after the Spanish Revolution, the Spanish-American War, and then the resulting Philippine-American War. And the most devastated and impoverished portions of the Philippines were the north, the Ilocos regions, and in the Visayan and Bohol region. So the Tagalogs didn't start coming until the mid-1960s, but the early population were mostly Ilocanos. During my dad's early years here in America, there was lots of discrimination against Filipinos. By 1932, Filipinos could no longer become U.S. citizens. We couldn't vote. We couldn't live in white residential neighborhoods. We couldn't own a house. We couldn't own a business. We couldn't own property. We couldn't work civil service jobs. And they also passed anti-miscegenation laws that made it illegal in 12 states, including California, for Filipinos to marry whites. Finally, in 1934, the United States passed the Cadiz-McDuffie Act, which on the surface made it look like it was a good thing for the Philippines because it gave them 10 years to become their own self-governed nation free from the United States, which ran the Philippines as a territory. But it really was an Immigration Restriction Act because it changed our unlimited immigration status now to only 50 per year. That's 50 per year after 1934. And then it was that way until 1946, after World War II, when the quota was raised to a token of 100 per year. But what changed after World War II is that the Filipinos proved to the United States that we were loyal citizens or loyal subjects. And the United States started lifting many of those anti-Filipino laws. So now Filipinos can become citizens, we can own property. But I think for this community and many of the Filipino-American communities on the West Coast, the War Brides Act really changed the face of Filipinos in America. Because for the first time, you have large numbers of Filipino war brides coming to California and to the United States. So places like San Francisco, Vallejo, San Diego, Seattle now experience a large number of Filipino wives. When you have Filipino wives, you have children. When you have children, you have the beginning of what we now know as the Filipino community here in the United States. But I want to pay honor to my father's generation. My father passed away 6 years ago at the age of 101 years old, almost 102. They say Filipinos age in dog years. But it's that Ilocano diet, you know, fresh fish, fresh vegetables, hard work that allowed them to live so long. But the Monoms were the ones who endured that racism here in America, who left their homeland, not knowing what they were going to find here in the United States. And many of them found low-paying jobs, 10 cents an hour, $1 a day, working in the fields or the canneries. But some lucky Filipinos were able to work here in San Francisco and play on the shipyards, Hunters Point, Bear Island, and found economic stability because of that. So I want to honor those Monoms, and I believe if there are any left alive, they're in their hundreds. I know when my father passed away 6 years ago, there were only 5 more left in Vallejo, and now the last one passed away about 3 years ago, my uncle Pete Chetta, who also passed away, ancestors. So we were in the parade today, and some of my tribe members are here, and we represent various tribes in the Philippines. So like the Fawns, we had to do our research. We had to find out who our ancestral tribes were, and then we had to research the patterns and the symbols and the reasons why we got our traditional tattoos. The chest tattoos are called chatlags, but every symbol on our tattoos has a meaning. It respects and honors our ancestors. It tells the story of our past, where we came from, much like Fawns, much like everything you're going to see here today. So please, today, enjoy and understand that the bridging of these cultures transcends oceans, it transcends generations, it transcends cultures, and you'll find that the Filipino culture is at the center of the universe, because we were the center of trade in the 15, 16, 17, 1800s with Mexico, with Europe, with the Middle East. And here in America, we are the most diverse and multi-ethnic of all the different cultures in the United States because of that background. So I want to thank you for coming here today on this beautiful Sunday afternoon in San Francisco, California. Enjoy the exhibits and hands-on experiences downstairs, and come back in about 15 minutes and hear some beautiful music that bridges the Filipino and the Spanish cultures. Thank you once again for showing up today. Our first program today is going to feature the Latin Filipino musical connections, again, live. And we're very fortunate to have the very famous Florante Aguilar, who single-handedly brought back Filipino music to the world. Also featuring with Florante is Chus Alonso, and they have Sage Vago and Greg Carret.
last number, we're going to play two very popular Filipino dances. Are you aware of it? Especially folk dancers out there. I see a couple. And one is called Luis Kawayan, and the other is Pandanguhan. And we're going to play a little bit with it, you know, arrangement-wise, so we took a lot of liberties, but we hope you enjoy it.
about the Filipino-American History Month, and the two guests that we have spoken to, I hope they inspired you, and we continue to share and work together for the betterment of our community. Charito Benapayo, thank you for joining. Good night.